My husband passed away 3 months ago. I was relieved of that. He abused me financially, mentally, and even physically. When I got pregnant, he convinced me to quit my job, saying that he would take care of me. I could never buy anything again without asking his permission. I couldn't even buy a cream without asking his permission, and he decided if I could or not. Even months ago that I had a little money of my own, I had to ask him for permission to buy something. What was mine was his, and his was his. But I stayed there because I still loved him, and I didn't have a place to go. I had too low self-esteem and let myself be stepped on. When I stopped loving him, he had already had his first affair. He made me believe that I was to blame for the affair because I didn't want to have sex months after my birth that left me torn, and I had to receive stitches. I was already planning my exit and saving money little by little while I was working selling things from home. Since he wouldn't let me work outside because he was very jealous, I wanted to pay for a lawyer. He was having another affair with a friend of his, which luckily kept him busier, and I didn't care anymore that he didn't pay attention to me. I wanted him to stay as far away as possible. I knew that man and he knew me. I could have made a big fuss, but I didn't. I kept quiet, planning my way out while he and that man slept together in secret. I only felt disgusted by my husband, nothing more. But my husband died in a way I never would have expected. He is now a martyr. When someone dies, all the sins of that person disappear. Because that's what even my family thinks. Those who knew about his affair and how he manipulated me are now talking about how good man he was, and we shouldn't insult someone who's dead. Everyone around me talks about how beautiful our relationship was. His family talks about what a great man he was and how always he focused on giving everything to me and our kid. His affair partner hugged me at the funeral, saying that my husband loved me. His friends told me what a great person he was. Everyone talks about how good but he was and how he is now an angel in heaven. And I have to pretend to be sad. The day he died, I cried a lot, but not out of sadness. I cried with relief and I felt free. It would have taken me too many years to save to pay for lawyers with my little store without him realizing that I was keeping money in secret. He would have kept everything. He would have made my life a hell, and I know it, because he had told me so every time I stood for myself. But now I have the house. I have everything. I have the monthly money for being a widow. I have my children totally with me. I have started the psychologist. Everyone thinks that I do it to cope with my grief, but no. It is to overcome the abuse I suffered from him. It was really hard to pretend being sad in the funeral, but I did it for my child. I did it because now everything is over and I'm free. If I made a fuss, my ex-mill would have done something so that I wouldn't keep anything. They were just like him. But now, I'm just a sad widow who needs help in their eyes. The silly widow who didn't know anything, but that's helping me to be free and have what I deserve. Sorry for the bad English. I use the traductor for many parts. Edit. We are not from an Islamic country, and here same-sex couples can live and marry freely. He just cheated on me with a man like he cheated on me with a woman. I guess he was bisexual. Relevant comments. Commenter. I am stuck on his affair partner hugging you and telling you he loved you. She had the balls to show at the funeral. Damn, you have more control than I could have ever mustered. Cheers to a life full of fun and love. Opie. His affair partner was his football teammate and friend. He is a man. Thanks, 2 hearts. Commenter. Your husband had an affair with a man? Or another woman? You have a child? Or children? Opie. His first affair was with a woman, I think. The second with a man, of which I know. Maybe he had others that I don't know. For privacy reasons, I don't want to reveal the number of children, so I prefer to leave it at that it's only one. Uneasy face. Update 1. It's been several weeks since I last posted, and I didn't expected my post to end in another places. Honestly, I had totally forgotten that I posted here, but a few days ago the lover and friend of my ex-husband. I have started calling my deceased husband that way. I don't want to be eternally tied to the idea that he is still my husband even after death. Death did me the favor of separating us. Visited my house saying that he found my post. I didn't expect him to find this and it scared me a bit, but honestly there's nothing I can do about this anymore if someone has posted it elsewhere without asking me first. One of my sons let him in when I hadn't heard the doorbell, so I had no choice but to let him in to not make a drama in front of my kids, and I wanted to know what he was going to say. Once alone, he told me that he knows that I know about him and my husband having an affair because of the post I sent to TikTok. Although I never did any post on TikTok. That's why I think someone uploaded this there. He told me that my husband was not the best husband, but he was a great friend to everyone and a very hardworking man to everyone. That even his family misses him too much, and even though he had his mistakes in the past, that I should let go of the past and stop digging into it, because we're all better off like that. He was insisting for a while to such an extent that I felt intimidated by him to the point he reminded me of my husband, and it is the first time that I have that feeling with a man that is not my ex-husband. I can talk peacefully with them, but this situation made me feel on the verge of a panic attack because of his attitude. He's basically scared that I'll tell everything. He's gay and I don't know if he has a boyfriend, but maybe he does, and that's why he doesn't want me to say anything about their affair. I've been a submissive woman for years. My ex-husband turned me into a fearful woman that I wasn't before. He made me the kind of woman who was always going to put her head down, but when he died, I felt so happy and liberated. I cried with relief for days. And when this man came into my house to tell me what to do, it was like seeing my ex-husband again, giving me instructions about how to behave and what to do. The man who knows very well that I was in an abusive relationship because he knew how my ex was and chose to sleep with him anyways. The man my husband made me cook for and then fudged him as if I were just a maid was at my house telling me that my ex was a good person and that I should shut my mouth. He was telling me what to do and I just punched his face. To be honest, I wanted to slap him, but for some reason I felt so angry that I hit him, and it felt like hitting my husband too. I don't regret it and I felt good. I yelled at him and told him to leave or I was going to tell everyone what happened. He ended up leaving the house and he has been quiet since that day. My main plan was just to shut my mouth and let go of the past, but that is one thing, and a totally different thing is that this man comes and wants to impose on me what to do as if I were a doll. Maybe my reaction wasn't the best, but I'm tired of people telling me to shut up. I never managed to say anything to my husband, and that day I felt that I somehow did that. I haven't told anyone yet, nor do I think about doing so, but if he does something, I won't hesitate twice before this time whether to make a TikTok or post on Facebook talking about everything. With the issue of the house, with the economic crisis, I am not sure that anyone can afford what a house like this is worth, but for now I have focused on finally being able to get a better job in the future to be able to rent a house and be able to rent this house. That could be a really good way to have money. My other goal in the future is to buy a small piece of land. No matter how far it is, I want to have something that is my own and my children. My children don't miss their father too much and I understand them. It has taken me a while to get them a child psychologist, but recently they started to go to their sessions and they are doing well. I also go to a psychologist. I think the best thing I've done is to start making excuses for my ex-MIL and my own family for not seeing them as often as before, and I've started the stage of cutting off contact little by little, making excuses with work, or that we're not at home. Although I still have to let my ex-MIL come home from time to time. I think even my kids are happier when they see that my own mood is better. I doubt that many people are interested in this, but thank you for the messages I received. Although many do not understand that cultures and laws are different, and here buying a house or moving to the other side of a country in a month of impossible for many. Relevant comments. Commenter. The audacity. He thinks you are still the maid. Good for you for showing your strength and sending him on his way. The nerve. I would strongly advise you to coach your children to not allow anyone in that house. Not just for AP if he returns. This includes the family you plan to distance yourself from. OP. Yes. They know that they should not open the door to strangers, but they open the door to people they know because my ex-husband always sent them to open the door for him. Uneasy face. I have begun to explain to them that they should not open the door to anyone without telling me first, and now I leave everything with a lock and key. Update 2. I thought punching my husband's lover was the final straw, but I was wrong. Things have escalated faster than I could have ever imagined, and the chaos that's unfolded feels like something out of a soap opera. It's been a few weeks since I last updated, and honestly, I'm not sure where to even begin. First off, the man I punched? He came back. Not to my house this time, but he found me while I was at the grocery store with my kids. I guess he thought it would be less confrontational in public. Wrong again. He had the nerve to corner me in the cereal aisle, of all places, asking if we could talk like adults. As if I hadn't already made myself clear with my fist. I told him if he didn't leave me alone, I'd scream. And you know what? I wasn't bluffing. My hands were shaking, my heart racing, but I wasn't scared this time. Maybe the old me would have backed down, but not anymore. After a tense moment of staring each other down, he backed off, muttering under his breath about how this isn't over. Whatever that means. I didn't care. I was just relieved to get out of there without a scene, at least not a bigger one. But that's not the worst of it. The whispers have started. People in town are talking, and I don't know if it's because of that guy or someone else, but somehow, word has gotten out about the affair. Suddenly, I'm not just the widow anymore, I am the scorned widow, the pitiful one. The rumors range from, she knew all along, to, she drove him to cheat. Can you believe that? I drove him to cheat. Like somehow my being abused was a reason for him to betray me. Even my own family is starting to doubt me. My mother called me last week, sounding all worried and cautious, asking if it's true that I'm spiraling after my husband's death. Spiraling? If standing up for myself, refusing to be controlled, and finally feeling a taste of freedom is spiraling, then hell yeah, I'm spiraling. But it doesn't end there. My ex-MIL has been sniffing around more than usual. She showed up unannounced again, acting all sweet and concerned, but I know her game. She's sniffing for something, probably hoping to find a way to prove I'm an unfit mother and take the house. She still sees me as that dumb little girl her son used to control, but I'm not that girl anymore. The kids aren't stupid either. They've started hiding in their rooms when she comes over, avoiding her like the plague. I think they're starting to see through the facade too, and honestly, that makes me feel like I'm doing something right. Speaking of the kids, their therapy has been a mixed bag. My youngest had a breakdown after one session, sobbing about how he never really knew his dad, and I didn't know how to comfort him. How do you explain to a child that maybe it's a good thing they didn't know the real him? That they're better off remembering some fabricated version of a man who wasn't even capable of loving them properly? I still don't have the answer to that. And here's the kicker: the life insurance payout. It's sitting there, staring at me, like some kind of dark prize for surviving a nightmare. I'm almost afraid to touch it, like using that money will somehow tether me to him again. But at the same time, it's a way out. I've started researching ways to invest it, maybe finally get that piece of land I've been dreaming about, somewhere far away from all these vultures circling me. But every time I take a step forward, I feel like there's another ghost from my past trying to pull me back. Honestly, I don't know how much longer I can keep up the act. I'm exhausted from pretending to be sad, pretending to be the naive widow, pretending like I don't want to scream from the rooftops about everything that man put me through. Part of me wants to just post it all online, let the whole world know the truth. But there's this other part of me, this small, terrified part, that knows once I open that door, there's no closing it. The fallout will be nuclear. For now, I'm keeping my head down, but I don't know how much longer I can stay quiet. It's like walking on a tightrope, waiting for someone to push me off. I'm trying to keep it together for the kids, for my sanity, but sometimes it feels like I'm just one more confrontation away from losing it completely. I guess the truth is, I don't know what comes next. All I know is that I'm not going back to the person I was before. I can't. Update 3. It all came to a head last night. After weeks of dodging my ex-MIL, shutting down her nosy questions, and trying to distance myself from everyone who thought they could keep controlling me, she showed up again, this time with my own mother. The two of them, sitting in my living room like they were plotting something big. My mother kept giving me this look, this pitying, almost condescending look, and I knew right then that something was very, very wrong. They didn't waste time. My ex-MIL launched right into it, all smug and righteous, saying that they were here out of concern for the kids. She started talking about how the rumors in town had gotten too loud to ignore, how people were saying I was acting out, how I wasn't coping with my husband's death, that they decided it would be best if the kids stayed with her for a while. Just until you're better, she said. The way she smiled when she said it made my skin crawl. I froze. For a second, I could feel that old fear creeping in, the same fear I'd felt when my husband would corner me, when he'd tell me what I could and couldn't do. But then something snapped inside me. Are you kidding me? I said, my voice shaking with anger. You think you can just take my kids because some small-town gossips are spreading lies? My ex-MIL didn't even flinch. You're not well, dear. It's for the best. We don't want to have to take legal action. Legal action. That's when I lost it. I stood up, shaking with adrenaline, and before I knew what I was doing, I was shouting at them to get out of my house. My mother looked startled, like she hadn't expected this version of me. Maybe she thought I was still the scared little girl who needed someone else to fight her battles. But not anymore. I'm not losing my kids, and I'm not losing my life to anyone again. I yelled, you can't control me, and you sure as hell can't control my children. My ex-MIL stood up, trying to regain her composure, but I could see the cracks forming. You need help, she said, her voice wavering for the first time. This isn't about control, it's about what's best for the family. I actually laughed because the irony was too much. Family? You mean the family your son destroyed while he was cheating on me and treating me like dirt? Or do you mean the family that ignored me when I was suffering in silence, pretending everything was perfect? I don't think you get to talk about what's best for my family. And then I dropped the bomb. The one thing I'd been holding back, that I never thought I'd say out loud. But in that moment, I knew I had to. I know about the affair, I said, my voice deadly calm. I know about your perfect son sleeping with his so-called friend. Everyone thinks he was a saint, but I know the truth. And if you don't back off, I'll make sure the entire town knows too. The color drained from her face. She stammered something, but I didn't give her the chance to finish. You think I won't do it? I've got nothing left to lose. You want to play dirty? Fine, but I'm not going down without a fight. She left after that. Both of them did, my mother trailing behind, looking like she didn't know what to think anymore. I don't know what they'll do next, but I'm done playing nice. If they want a war, they'll get one. The house was silent after they left, and I sat down on the couch, my hands still shaking, my mind racing. It wasn't until my oldest came in, he must have heard the whole thing, that I snapped out of it. He looked at me, wide-eyed, and asked if everything was okay. And for the first time in a long time, I actually felt okay. "Yeah," I said, pulling him close. "We're going to be okay." Because for the first time, I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't that broken, beaten-down woman they could walk all over. I wasn't afraid of the rumors or the judgment or even the legal threats. I had survived worse, and I knew now that I could survive anything. As for what comes next, I don't know. Maybe my ex Emile will try something. Maybe she'll back off. Maybe the town will keep whispering. Maybe they'll move on to the next scandal. But that's not my problem anymore. The only thing I know for sure is that I'm free now. Free to make my own decisions, free to build a life for me and my kids, free to tell the truth or keep it to myself on my own terms.